Okay, let's go live. It's James speaking, trainingsites.io. It's Thursday afternoon at 2:30. Thought I'd go live because I've been playing around with Claude skills, Claude projects, and trying to figure out what would be the best way to actually apply them because they are incredibly cool. And I've been building out a skills library, building out skills, and I've been asked continually about like, how do you create these skills? Why would you do it? How do they work? How do you create them? Where do you put them? Give me some workflow examples. So I was doing that myself and I thought, hey, what a great idea to actually go and do it live and share that with you as well. So I got to figure out how to get rid of that one there, that one where it comes up. Not sure how to do that. So we'll come back to that. Yeah, so this is an ad hoc session. This is what we're going to do today. I'm going to kind of go through the setup that I have. I'm going to show you how I'm set up to create skills. Also the skills library I built with Claude Cowork. It's a web app that has basically been built to organize all of these. How I'm going to monetize it, and then we'll actually go and build a skill live through this. So again, this was not scheduled, so if you do have questions, you can put them in the chat. I'll do my best to go and take a look at them and answer any questions that you do have about skills. So just kind of the setup that I have so that you know. By the way, it's James from trainingsites.io if you haven't been here before. And I work on building out privately branded communities or campuses. That's what we do for customers. And also I teach people how to start, build, and grow their own education business. And there's the interface to our privately branded campus that I'm building a whole bunch of skills for and telling people or teaching people how to actually go and use them. So what's the setup that I have from a business perspective here? Well, the hardware part. Right now, I'm on a Mac and I'm using, in this particular case, I'm using the desktop version of Claude. I have the Max plan, although what I'm doing will work on the Pro plan as well. I'm using the Max plan just so I have a little bit more runway on some of these longer projects. And I'm on a Mac, and again, I've got the paid plan, which gives me a couple additional options which aren't available. And specifically, I'm on the desktop version because there's some additional connectors available. But if you look at the top of the screen here, you'll see it says Cowork. So I am in Cowork. That's where I'm actually working, and that's what we're going to do today. So I'll go through this. We've got Claude set up. I have my community or campus set up. And one of the first things I kind of got started, I was playing around with this, is that I'm not sure. And again, in a couple of the videos, I've talked about skills and how they become digital employees or actually people to replace you. And I think the big picture here is, I look at it from the point of we now have these AI agents. And again, I don't want to get into the actual discussion as to what an agent is or what an agent isn't. For me, I'm not a software engineer. I've just been around for a long time. I'm playing around, learning how to use these and leverage them in the education space. So, I'm looking at skills and I'm going, for me as a teacher or educator or course creator, I'm looking at this and I'm going, what are all the things that are workflows or uh, pain points for me or pressure points for me in order to do more? And then I'm looking like, how can I hand these off to my AI employees with a set of skills on how I like things to be done and basically have them go and do that work. And when you get into it, the first thing that that I've been kind of playing around with is recognizing that you need to really have an idea of what the processes are that you're actually not only doing but need to replace to build your business, create better content, market your content or business, administer your business. There's a whole bunch of tasks for doing that. One of the first things I did earlier in the week is I said, well, I better have a kind of a library of the workflows and processes in there. And I ended up, the first thing that I did is I ended up creating, and again, all of the work, I'm going to go through actually creating the skills, but all of the work that I did here, this was done by Claude Cowork. This is a spreadsheet that I came up with 165 different skills that were related to the education space. I have 30 of them that I had already created manually in Claude Code, which I've covered in a couple other videos. and we'll actually do today. But I have 130 different videos or processes or things that I do on a regular basis that don't involve me actually being on camera or doing work with a client or student, someone in the campus or the cohort that I'm running. So I got this spreadsheet that was created, and I'm looking at the spreadsheet and I'm trying to figure out, like, give me a visual image or picture of this. So after I had Claude organize these, what the skill was, what it was for, what the purpose was. Is it best for someone who's, doing teaching, or is it for marketing? Um, what does it want to actually do? What do I need it for? I had that put together. And the other thing I figured, well, I better maybe, put together some kind of library to manage all of this. And in fact, that's what I did. And I had in my case, I had Claude Code. I said, look, I want to create a library. And we actually built a library. It took about 15 minutes. I covered this in another video, but basically what the library does is it takes a look at all of the skills that I've created, and or ones that I wanted to create, and basically breaks them into different areas, so that I now have a library of the skills that are based on the spreadsheet, and they're organized by whether it's a skill that is about producing, is it something that's analyzing data. So there's different sets of prompts or different sets of skills that would be needed if I'm looking for someone who's a sales professional versus someone who's a referee, for example, or a teaching assistant. And these kind of models that I came up for voices were ones that I just had the discussion when I was building the spreadsheet with Claude Cowork to kind of figure out, like, what kind of skills should I have for what kind of job. So called them voices, they're there. We also had levels. Some of it was, hey, I'm just a beginner. Is this something that people would start off with? Is this something that's a little more complex skill based on, where it fits into the categories? And I came up with 8 that are in an education business. So those ones are here on the left. So I put some levels together, and then I also looked at the types, because when you get into all of this AI automation agent piece, there's skills that you need. There's also plugins, which is what we'll cover in another video, but there's MCPs, which are connectors between the skills and the tools and services that they actually need to do their work. So I want to be able to identify which ones they were. And I also wanted to know where they came from. Is it one that I created? Is it one from Anthropic themselves, or some of the GitHubs? Is it one that was generated within the training site's campus or community? So, these are kind of the ones that were put together. And as I was playing on those ones, I just said, well, you know what? How does this fit into my business? If I'm in the education space and I'm thinking about, you know, great, I have these skills, I could give them away. Um, I could charge for them. And I think, the thing that we all have to recognize is that, in um, as much as yeah, if there's any questions, just put them in there. I'll try and answer them. And as much as the ability to create course content or educational content has disappeared, also the fact skills are things that can be easily created, as we'll see in a minute, but they're not always easy to implement. So I was kind of thinking about this, like, can I give them away, or how do they fit into a business, or how can I earn some money with these skills and these, I'm going to call them agent skills, because I'm giving them to my agent employees and I'm saying, this is how I want things done based on this skill that I'm giving you. So I'm trying to figure out, do I just give it away, or how do I turn it into a business? And the thing that came out to me personally is I went, well, you know what? There might be people that, download a skill or find a skill, but they may not know exactly how to use it. So I figured that I could use these skills in my course or education business. I could either give away the skills, but I could charge for the training on how to use and or implement them. So I went back and forth, played around, and this is what we came up with. I figured if I create a skill, for example, this skill is how to repurpose content and post it onto Twitter with a whole bunch of different styles, and you'll see when I created the skill how it works. But I figured, what about if we created this library of skills, which is one here that created. And on the right-hand side, you can see it has, it's in about content, it's intermediate difficulty. There's training available now, and it's verified because we've used it, and I know that it works. As an example, it's been vetted, and there's a view source which goes to a course. Now, I got 160 different skills that are available. I have a library that is available for people to look at. Now I'm just thinking, okay, great, why don't we sell those? And I'll create a course for each of the skills and, sell, either give away the skill package and sell or monetize the training on how to use it, or maybe charge for some of the skills and not for others, or bundle them or not bundle them, or put them into some kind of subscription model. So that's kind of my head was at for business. So this is the part that I think is really interesting if you're thinking about, how am I going to create an education business, is I don't think it's about the content anymore. And then you're going to see this one I created here. I didn't create any of the content. I created the skill that allows people to create the content that they need and apply a skill in their process that they need. So I'm basically paying or charging people for access to myself and or the skill that I've discovered or that I use on a regular basis that maybe saves people some time. So it has nothing to do with content. So if you're selling a course and you're creating a course content with a slide deck, maybe some checklists, or you're teaching people, in this particular case, what are the 7 different Twitter content strategies? Can you teach that to people? Yeah. Can you basically go and have them do some work on it, figure it out? Yes. I'd much rather just give them the skill. Say, this is how you use the skill. Go and do it. If you have questions, come back. If you want to find out some more details or you just don't want to learn it yourself, come back. And then there's an opportunity to monetize them there. So how did I come up with this? Where does it fit in? How do you create skills? Let's go take a look at that. So I'm going to go down here to Claude Cowork. We'll open it up. And what I did earlier is, this is actually kind of interesting. This is Claude Cowork, which I'm not a programmer, not a software engineer. I am learning this as we go. Is there better ways of doing it? Yeah, absolutely. And if you have them, put them in the discussion or join trainingsites.io and let me know if there's a better way of doing it. So this is how I've got it set up. And if it's something that is of interest to you or that you see how it works, I would love to see what you're coming up with any of these skills or processes that are in your business. Now, one of the cool things with Cowork, I have videos on Cowork specifically, but the way that I look at this, the big thing for me is if you look on the left-hand side, this is about tasks. If we go to chat, it's about chat. So this is tasks. So I want to get stuff done. And I did some work yesterday, the day before, where I organized that spreadsheet and that page. I came to it this morning and I was just kind of doing a recap. So I said, here's the project status that I generated on the previous day. And it basically, gave me a heads up for it. And I asked a couple questions here and we went through it. And this is the part that's interesting for me because I wanted to figure out, like, where does this fit into the business, the part that was done. And in fact, this is basically what we came up with. So I would like to create skills interactively with you in a conversation. After the skill is created, you would update the spreadsheet and GitHub where I store all of the organized skill files. You would create the skill zip file for the download and delivery. You would create a course bundle that would include all of the content required for someone to understand how it works, best practices, use cases, how to edit, update, etc., along with the shopping cart product descriptions, pricing, and etc. So basically, I identified the steps that I needed to sell it, and we just kind of went through to look at, like, what are the pieces that we need to do that, how would it work? So I had a little bit of a discussion going through that, and it asked me some questions. What's the course bundle that you want to do? I'm picturing something like this: what the skill does, installation and setup, how to use it, use cases and examples, how to customize the update. So in the trainingsites.io campus or community, we just open this one up. And we'll go to the community here for a minute. Yeah. So for example, I've got these courses that are here. So I have a library of courses. I'm using them as training for the skills as an example. So one of the ones that we just did, let me just open up one here. We'll do just a simple example. Actually, I have one for a previous skill. So here's one that I had done originally. So the way that this was set up, so that I had a course, but it had the download links to the skills, had a description of what the skill was about, and then it had a live demo, what it does, how to run it the first time. These are the use cases. This is the one that I did manually before. So I just wanted to create the skill. I wanted Claude Code to do all of this part. I don't want to do that. I want it done. So what was traditionally a course, I'm not creating it. I'm going to have Claude Code go and actually create it. So that was kind of the workflow that was there. So we went through a couple examples, and that's what would go through. And it asked me about the selling model. So I was trying to figure out, we went back and forth on some pricing for that, where it would fit into the rest of the business. And we figured out I'm going to do $27 a skill, and I'm also going to make them available to people who have a monthly membership. So that was kind of the thing we went on, and it was a little bit of clarification and what we did. So here's the part that was kind of cool for this, is because I had some other skills available that I created before. Remember the ones that I talked to you about? It was asking, what would that assembly line be here? So we got a production pipeline. Here's everything that we need each time we create a skill. And the reason I'm talking about this is, just remember, if you are in the education space, if you're creating courses, if you're doing presentations, if you're doing lectures, and you have a series of steps that you would normally do, and even if you were using ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or Grok or any of these tools, and it was just you doing a prompt, chatting with these tools and getting a response back, and then having to do each of these individual steps in the process, from creating it to copying and pasting it to organizing it into a course to adding it to a shopping cart. All of these things take time, energy, and effort. I think the real value is, especially with Claude Cowork, is now we can have a series or bundles of skills in a process and actually just say, go and do it. And that's what actual projects or plugins are about, which is in the bottom left-hand corner here, which we'll be doing some more videos. That's like, think of skills as individual employees, and I look at those plugins as department managers. It's just like, hey, I got a brand new skill that I just finished, do your thing. And all of these steps are going to be done automatically with plugins. And in fact, that's this whole buzz about OpenClaw and CloudBot or Moltbot, is that is one of those steps where it will actually go out and do it. The reason I focus on these ones is I'm kind of a bit of a security freak compared to them, but also because I think I still want to be the human in the loop to add value or think about, is this appropriate for this skill, or did I miss something? I'm not ready to hand it off yet. So here's a cool thing. It identified the product pipeline, and it went through and confirmed these are the steps that we're going to go through in this process with these skills. And it said, you and I build the skill conversationally. Spreadsheet gets updated with a brand new inventory row, so it shows up in the library. GitHub is the commit, and if you're not a software person, I'm just learning how to use GitHub. And this is, I guess, a repository for software that keeps track of changes, and all of the software developers use it. I'm playing around with it, and in fact, I'm having Claude Code use it. I'm not learning how to use it. I'm asking Claude Code to set it up, which it did, and create the repository and actually update the repository when we're doing or creating these skills. So that was there. And it also, zip file with a README file. So if you come and buy a skill, you need to download the skill to install it on your particular site. And then the Fluent Community courses, the 5 lessons we agreed upon, the Fluent cart. The other thing I asked for, I said, you know what, well, what about if I have it? How do I let people know about it? So I said we should have an email launch series where there's 3 messages to sell the skill or announce the skill, and then social media posts for LinkedIn, X, Facebook, to the YouTube community members that I have here, and then the community feed post, because I want to let people know in the community that, hey, here's a brand new skill. It's available to the community. Here's how it works. Here's the case. Here's some use cases, that kind of thing. Now, this is the cool part. It says, here's the good news. You already have skills that handle chunks of this. So I have a product description creator that I created before. I have a social media content skill that I created before. I have a community feed poster that I created before. I had a student onboarding email creator. So I had bits and pieces of that. And then this is basically, what it suggested is to go and run it. You want to start cranking? And I said, no, not yet. And here's the reason why. And this is something that I think a lot of people who have been playing around with Claude Bot and Open Claw, whatever you call it, is some people have been getting uh, absolutely slammed with dollar values because it can, doing a lot of work, it can use a lot of tokens and credits and money on some of these tools or large language model apps that these Claw or Open Claw is actually connected to. So I wanted to double check and say, look, if we run that whole pipeline, am I going to run out of tokens or context so that Claude stalls? And or is it going to cost a lot of money to do all of them at once? So I basically asked what the scoop was there. And here's the other cool part that I'm starting to wrap my head around. It went and said, here's what I suggest. And this was Claude Cowork suggesting it. You and me, conversational, create the skill, nail down what it does. And then the second part was I spawn parallel sub agents. So, when you come to these things, and I'm looking at this, I always kind of think of it as like a linear one-to-one. It's like one employee gets some stuff done, and then they hand it off to someone else who does something, and then they hand it off to someone that does something else. But here's the situation, what Claude Cowork is saying, look, why don't we just get one agent to do the emails? You've already got it kind of set up. We got 5 lessons for the course, 3 for the launch emails, all the social media and community posts, and then the product description and to create Fluent cart, and then a cleanup one. So these are 4 sub agents. Not only does that save money, that speeds things up, and it's not requiring a linear process. I did a video, I guess maybe 2 weeks ago, about the difference between I called it a waterfall, like a product waterfall. If you are at docks or a dam or something, in many cases there's like one narrower inlet to the dam that lets it go down. These is a situation where there's 5 different dams that can be opened or closed individually, and they can all run at the same time. This is the exact case where we've got a whole bunch of tasks that are in Claude Cowork that can run at the exact same time so that it gets kicked out. And they're working together, which is a kind of cool part. And it says you're in Claude subscription, so it's not per call billing. And sub-agent approach is more efficient, smaller focused tasks instead of one massive conversation. So am I ready to build it? So what do you want to do? Do you want to do that? We can do that, but we need a skill first. So let's take a look at a skill. We'll play around with one. I'll actually show you how to create one. We'll grab one from the library that I had put together that I haven't created yet, and we'll go from there. So here's, again, this was ad hoc. I think I've been going, 27 minutes or 25 minutes now. There's a couple of people watching. If there are things that you wanted to see or a skill you wanted created, we can certainly go and do that. And then we'll actually go and run this and see what happens when we actually put this together. So let me just see. I wonder if we can build that. Actually, let me do it this way. Again, I'm doing this live. I don't know if it's going to work. And I'm also saying there are probably 1,000 different ways to do this. This is the way that I've figured out to do it. If there is a better way, let me know. So let me just say ready to build it. I'm going to say ready to build it. Say go for it. And then ask me any questions, or ask me any questions you need, and we'll just go from there. Now, the other thing just to notice, if you look on the bottom here, today is Thursday the 5th of February. 4.6 Opus just came out. So this is just upgraded, and this is the first time I've logged in since it upgraded, so we'll actually see what's happening here in the background. So I'm just going to let that run, and what I'll do in the meantime is we'll go to the browser, and I'm going to go to a copy of Claude on the desktop, and we'll actually go and create a skill. Now, this is the one that I did for the Twitter one, which is available now, but I want to do a new one. So I'm just going to go to, actually, if you haven't seen these before, again, I have some videos on those in trainingsites.io. Join the community, it's free. And of course, like and subscribe to the channel here. But let's go back, take a look here. For any of these skills, where they are in Claude is in the bottom left here. You're going to go to settings. And when you're in settings, there's one called capabilities. And capabilities are here. These are the skills that are available. These are the ones that I've created. These are some of the example ones that Anthropic has brought. Now, when you first install this or start using them, in the example skills, there's one right here called Skill Creator. So Anthropic has a skill for building skills. So I want to make sure that that particular one is on, and you'll see that in a second. Now, I've got a whole bunch that are created. Those are the ones we were talking about earlier when I was in Claude Cowork. It knew that I had, for example, the one was the, where's the one we had the, where's the one? Chart to education post. I had the community feed poster. That was one of the ones that we mentioned. Product description creator. So I have these skills kind of here. We'll see what happens, how much it uses or what part it uses of those. The other thing I'm just going to talk about here is the reason that I'm so pumped on skills, and I'm suggesting everyone, no matter where you are, what industry you're in, but especially in the education space, the cool thing here is that skills is an open standard. And I know yesterday or last week, actually, the other thing that happened here is Manus.im, which was purchased by Facebook. If you go take a look at Manus, they have, let me just go here. Let me just go back to Manus. I think I can go back here. Library, where's the one that they had here? All tasks, new project. Where's the ones that they have? Let me get rid of the lapse. The point that's here is, hopefully I can find it, that we get in, is that they are using skills as well. There it is, sorry, in the bottom here. So Manus also uses skills now, and the skills that you're creating in Claude can also be used in Manus. Google has also said that they're using that open standard. So I would suspect actually this next week, I would think that Google Gemini or what iteration of it in the next week or two, at least in February, is going to be able to support skills natively within one of their interfaces. And I wouldn't be surprised if they have something like OpenClaw, as well as Claude having something OpenClaw by this month as well. The point is that all of these platforms now can support the exact same skill files that we're going to create. So that's where they are here. I'm going to go and create a new one. So I'm just going to do a new chat here, left-hand side, and I'm just going to say, I want to create a new skill with my skill creator skill. Okay, so it's going to come up and it's going to give me some kind of question about it. And here's the part that's important. Let me pull up your skill creator so we can follow the process properly. So it's going to read the skill. This is my employee going, hey, what's my standard operating procedure? How do I do this? What does it mean to create a skill? And it's going to go take a look in all of the different pieces that are there. And still understanding it, going through. And it needs to understand what are the most important questions. Now, technically, what I think I should have done is in the bottom right, you can see that we're in the Opus 4.6 extended. I don't want to necessarily do it for this one, so I'm going to take that off, and we'll see if I don't break the actual skill that was done. So is there anyone got a skill? Is there anyone that wants to see a particular skill made? I want to pick one that's not too big, obviously, so it doesn't take too long. Is there one there? So content production, is it creating courses or something? Is it researching course ideas? Is it about doing social media? Is it about people getting engaged in the community? Is it about automation or integration? Try and pick one and see what happens. I'm also going to do this. What do we got here? Let me start by doing it. And did it do the wrong one? Liberty's spreadsheet. So it's going through and doing all of the work here. And on the right-hand side, again, this is the desktop version. It's going through some of the tasks to do some of the pieces here to see how it works. And also on the right-hand side, you see its context. It's taking a look at some of my existing skills. So let's see what happens on that one. I just wanted to go back and check to make sure that it's running. Checking up on my employee. Let's go back here. Let's do a weekly discussion starter. That's a simple one. So let me click this one, and this one is creates an engaging discussion prompts that spark conversation and participation. And again, these are ones, obviously, you come up with the ideas. These are just ones that are important in a privately branded campus or learning community. You want to make sure that you have a series of discussions or prompts that spark discussion. So I'm just going to copy this and we'll go, and it's going to say, I want a weekly discussion skill for my online community, and just do that. That creates engaging discussion prompts that spark conversation and participation. So I'm just going to click this and we'll actually see what comes up. Now, the reason that I do it this way conversationally is if you give it a prompt, you start thinking about like, well, what about if this happens? Or if I did this, what would it mean? So I got to take a look through all of these. And the cool part here is there's a couple things. Because Claude has memory, it knows that I use Fluent Community. It remembers that. So it knows that I have that particular piece of software that's there, okay? And it asks some questions to clarify things. Do you have specific groups or spaces in Fluent Community where these go? And it knows or remembers the ones that we've done before and any example proofs before that we've used before. So I'm just going to show you these so that you see them. Let's go take a look here. Is on the left-hand side, if I go take a look here in my community, I have general discussion, AI tools, apps and agents, wins and celebrations, events and announcements. And then for the paid members, we have agent skills, build your campus, launch your cohorts, grow your campus. So these are all different spaces that are available. It recognized the public ones, and those are the ones it's asking me, do you want to work on it? So there we go. What kind of community? So we're gonna do creators and educators. We'll do both. So I'm just gonna click that. And should the discussion prompts on? Well, we want all of it. Topic-based learning discussions, hot takes, opinions. There we go. I'm gonna select those ones and generate for review. So here's again the human in the loop part, right? It's like I'm generate and review. I'll post manually. No, I don't want to. I've done it before and I know that it works well. I'm comfortable with this employee who's done the work before. So I'm going to let them go. And I'm going to do both options available. Let me do to a general space. There we go. And let's see what happens. So it's going to work on that. Just confirms what we talked about. And it's going to go and list the spaces. Now, the reason that I'm showing you this is that, remember I was talking about those tools, those MCP tools as one of the other pieces? I set up my WordPress training site. There's a plugin called AI Engine on it, which is a MCP server / connector to Claude. So if I took a look, remember capabilities, we're looking at the skills. One of the other ones there was connectors. I set up a connector so that Claude Cowork can talk to my WordPress site, and it knows, in this case, it knows what the different spaces are, and it kind of just wants to make sure that we'll grab the content for a particular piece. I can see your spaces. A couple more things before I build. We'll go and do that. I see your spaces. Do you have any? There. Let's just do, we'll just do general discussion. Space every time, run it. Maximum prompts, a communities lab. Let's just do general discussion. I'm going to pick that one. One prompt for one weekly. Batch of 5 to 7 prompts for the whole week. Actually, let's just do one prompt. No, we'll do, just for now, we'll just do one prompt and a few follow-up reply ideas, just to keep it simple. And this is a question I was just saying, it's like we create these skills. I have a standard operating procedure now. These are all editable, so that if I want to go and change them and say, hey, maybe I do want to schedule them, or maybe I need more prompts. That's kind of what was going to do. So it's got a picture. Now let me create the skill. It's going to write the skill file and package it. So while it's working, I want to go check on my other employee here and see what it's still doing. Analyze the skill inventory spreadsheet and pipeline structure. So it's going through our piece here, and you can see all of the different work that this series of employees are running in parallel. My manager's looking over top of it. We've got a whole bunch of things happening in sequence in the background. So that is kind of cool. It's actually running. So that's the piece that really gets me kind of flippy here, is that I can do something else. These employees are working. I could create multiple skills at the same time if I wanted to. This is completely open for you to start getting creative about it. And if it's just creating courses, or if it's just creating lecture notes, or if it's just creating one little tiny piece of your business, a skill is fine. If you want to get into co-working or having it done for you, and projects having big, huge, repeatable processes put together, that's when you start getting into Claude Cowork and the plugins that we're talking about in the bottom of the screen here. So Cowork is still working in the basement here, still doing all sorts of work. We'll go back and take a look at my skill and create a prompt patterns references for the types. This one's working as well, and it's writing those out. So this file, or this little package, a skill file, there is, and I'll put the link below after, but there is kind of some rules on how the skills get created. It's a certain structure, and they have a certain name for the skill files. But what I should get from this is basically a little button up in the right-hand corner here. It's going to say add to skill file. There we go. Perfect. So this is where we're at right now. So it did its work, and it's writing the skill file, and then let me package it up. Your weekly discussion creator skill is ready to install. Here's what it does. One run, one discussion post, put 3 to 4 follow-up replies posted directly to the community. And that's because I have that connector in. 4 prompt types that rotate, and weekly wins and accountability, topic-based learning, hot takes and opinions, how to trigger it. So all I need to do is create a weekly discussion, auto picks, or post a hot take on AI replacing courses, create a wins and discussion for this week, and it creates a post, one specific question, mobile friendly, 3 to 4 seed replies you post as comments to get conversations flowing, and shows you everything for approval. And it goes to the default space, which is what I asked. Now, we need it as a skill, right? Here's the actual prompt. Let me see if I can get this over a little bit so you can see it. So this is the actual skill file that's here. This is the description of it, tells what it does. That's the prompt, and this is the workflow. So this is what my skill actually is. Tells the prompts that are there, generated discussion prompts, and it gives some examples in the structure, gives some rules for how to do that, the different types with labels, generates a follow-up replies. So that's actually the skill that got created. If I don't like those, I can go and continue to make some edits here in the bottom, say, no, I don't like that, or focus on these, or I want two. I want one on Monday and one on Friday, for example. But I'm going to say for this part, I'm okay. So I'm just going to say copy to my skills. Copy to my skills. If I click manage, it's going to go to that capabilities. But in this case, I'm just going to close it. And I'm going to close this. So that canvas is off to the side here. And it says on this one, how to trigger it. And I'm just going to say on this one, I'm going to copy it. And let's see what happens. So I'm going to post a hot take discussion about Opus 4.6 being launched today and what it means to replacing courses. So I'm just going to do a new chat here. I'm going to put this in about Claude 4.6 Opus being rolled out. Actually, we'll do the other one. We'll just do about AI replacing courses. Just keep it simple. So post a hot take about it. Now, I'm not sure entirely if these work. I've had them recognize them sometimes and not. So what I'm going to do is post a hot take. Sometimes I say, use my whatever skill to do it. And again, if you know what I'm missing or not missing, please let me know. I'm just going to take it what it said, but let's go and see what happens here. Now, normally what it does, it'll say, okay, let me read the skill file first. It identified it. Discussion creator skill. It's going to go and run. And we'll just have that run in the background, see what's going to happen. So let's go back and take a look here. It's still working in the background. Training skills 2. This is doing skill creator. It's doing a whole bunch of work in the background. It's still working through all of these particular steps. So that's being built in the background. We'll go back to my skill here now, see where it's at. Current context, so references within the prompt for type, no. Replacing courses, so current angle, and it's searching the web here. So these are the ones that have just come out, and they're not necessarily the ones that I wanted, but okay, it's got some context. Create a discussion item through there, and now it's got a replacing courses. Okay, follow-up replies. There we go. So there it is. General discussion, space ID number 17, which is the general one, ready to post. I'll publish the discussion and add all 4 follow-up replies as comments. So let's go see what happens. Just going to say post post it to general, post it to general discussions, and let's see what happens. So remember, I have that connector. My WordPress site is connected to Claude, and it's going to say there's AI engine. There's the one it's putting in. That's the prompt that it's got. I'm going to say, yeah, that's okay. It's asking for permission. It's not going out and do it on the self. I wanted to double check it. So that part's working. Post is now live, and it's going to add the following replies. So it's actually got some comments in it. And again, this is just how the skill was set up. It doesn't have to work this way. I just did one as an example. It's going to create the comments, and we'll see what actually happens on this. Now, the part this is one that's comments, right? I have another skill that I created called a campus ambassador. And what that skill does is it goes through the community, it welcomes new users, so it goes through to see who's a brand new user since the last time it was run. It goes to look for any questions or posts that are unanswered. It goes and checks the leaderboard to see who's actually moving up or moving down, gives congratulations to people. So it's a campus ambassador that's not me, that's actually going through and being involved as well in the community. Now, I'm going to show you something neat here, because if you look in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see there's a little bell here, and it says new post available, Campus Builders Post. So if I take a look, a new post is available. Guess what's here? Let's take a look. Now, Annalisa is the name of the user that I actually added for this. There's the hot take. And what do we got here? General discussion. It doesn't look like there's any comments yet. Maybe they get added later, I'm not sure. And this is just an example of things aren't perfect. Post is there. I'm just going to say in this case, I'm just going to say the comments didn't show up. And let's go and actually see and have it do some additional work on that. So it's going to go double check, make its work. The boy came back to me, said, yeah, I did the work. I took a look, and it's, no, you didn't finish the job. It's not done. So let's go see if I can do that and see if it actually gets connected and works. We'll go back to Claude here, see if that one, it's still working in the background. Maybe it was too big a job. I'll have to try it again. But this is kind of cool. There we go. Looking for a DB query, column posted, tool reported, comments like, let me check. So it's actually working now on my behalf, on the community, or in the community, get things done. So what do you think of that? Is that pretty cool or what? I get flipped out by it. If I get excited about it, can't help myself, because my head's spinning on this. You know, there's libraries and libraries now of skills. And the reason that I created an age and skill library right here is that the majority of the skills that I run into are ones that are all about doing things like fixing your email, or, you know, booking things for DoorDash, or being able to do fancy scraping stuff for programmers and developers. There's not a lot that are specific to a small business, solopreneur, edupreneur, someone who's in teaching or education space. It's like, what are the things that we need to do? So, you know, that's why I built this and put it together, and I'm going to try and create these skills as quickly as I can. Now, I'll wait a little bit longer. What I wanted to do is, once that skill was built, or sorry, that bundle that was built in Claude Cowork, I wanted to be able to just hand it off to the agent to have it do all of the tasks based on the new skill that we created. And there we go. So let me just show you as well where that is. Did we come up with something? Comments were saved by a response. But yeah, MCP tool has a bug with the column name. Let me insert them directly. So again, never perfect. Should now be showing. It uses feed ID, post ID. Okay, let's go take a look and see what happens here. I'm going to go and refresh my screen. And 4 comments. Okay, so it's done them as 4 in 1. It should have done them as individual comments. So not perfect, didn't work perfectly. And this is actually a good thing to have happen, because we just created a skill, couple minutes, created a skill, we installed the skill, we ran the skill. Now, the thing here, of course, is where is that skill and how do I fix it? So the other thing you can do is, I'm going to go back down here, move the screen. I'm going to go back down here to James settings, and I'm going to go to capabilities again, same place that I was. And when you see down here, I have view skills. There's weekly discussion creator. That was the one that was done 8 minutes ago. The 3 little dots here, if you look at those dots, you see try and chat, download, edit in Claude, replace, or delete. So if I ever wanted to go and fix that and say, hey, I want you to make sure that the comments are individual comments and not in one comment. We can do that. I could go and edit in Claude and say, currently, in this case, this is the description it does, right? That was the same one. So supports 4 prompt types. Let's say I said, well, I only want it to do 3 types of prompt styles, or here's another kind of prompt that I want. So you can go and change it at any time. I'm just going to go and close that, or do anything that I want just by selecting those and actually going to edit with Claude. So these are completely editable, and also because I can download them, I can distribute them to people who either pay for them if I want to, and or people that are part of the community, or people that I just want to be able to transfer my skills on. Just think of it like this. You've got an employee now that does things the way that you want. You can basically hire out the employee, or sell the employee, or give the employee to someone else, and they may train the employee a little bit differently. They may not do it the exact same as you, but they've got the basis to work on to get going through that. The other part that's really cool for me is that I know that there's rentahuman.ai, which is what OpenClaw, I guess, created, or someone created for OpenClaw, where the agents are actually looking for humans to do work, as opposed to humans asking the agents to do work. So be interesting to kind of see what happens with that one moving forward. So let me just see, are we going to get anything done here? I'm not sure that that's actually going to happen. So maybe we'll wait on that one, and I'll do another video after. I will show you GitHub just so that you kind of see how that works. And here it is here. And this is how I've got it set up. You see on the left-hand side here, this is my training site skill, which is a private repository of all of these skills. I've got free skills, freemium skills, and premium skills. And these are particular ones that I'm thinking of charging for. And these have all of the skill files. So anytime I create a new one, like this Twitter one, actually, why don't we do that just because I'm here? So we'll go back to that chat that we were just working on. Where's the one we were just doing? So just want to make sure I'm in the right place. All chats. So I'm just going to say on this one, and I don't know if it'll do it actually here. Can you add this new skill to GitHub? What else do I need to say here? GitHub as a free skill. Let's see what happens. So I'm just basically saying, hey, let me see if GitHub and your skills are structured there. So it's looking at some of the previous ones we did. Relevant chats. There we go. Repo, and also training site skills repo. Let me package the weekly and download a zip file for the public free GitHub repo. Let me grab the first one. Let me just see what happens here. Not sure what's going to happen. Yeah, so it's uploaded to the skill. My idea here for it being able to show it is if we were able to get this done in time. I don't know if it's going to time out. I may have to make it smaller. But the whole idea here is it's going to say, here's a brand new skill. Go and do all of these other pieces here, which is create the course, create the social media posts, write the emails, and get it done. So I'll do that in another video. Maybe we'll do that after it's finished. I'll do another video. I hope you kind of enjoyed this. Let me know. Give me a thumbs up if it's something you want to continue to have me doing. I have a blast doing this. And the one thing I'm going to say here, and again, this is for course creators and educators, people like this. One of the things that I'm kind of, because content is easy to create right now, and there's huge value in repurposed content or leveraged content in your community or your campus your privately branded campus and your free library, your open library, being able to capture the digital exhaust of what you're actually doing while you're doing it. There's a whole bunch of value in that for the community, but also for marketing. So that's the reason I did this live. This is just, I was going to do this anyway. So I figured I might as well go and do a live stream with it. Now with the live stream, just remember what I have available to me now. Because the other workflow that I have here is, if we go back and did it go and do it? Add it to GitHub. Oh, let's go take a look, see if it's there. Just went and double checked Claude there, and it's just looking to see if it's in the free versions here. I don't know if it added to the local one. No, it might have done it to my local one. So let's see if we're, yeah, I have GitHub done locally. I may have to do, I think it's called a commit or a push or something. Not sure. I'll have to find out, but it should end up showing here in one of the free groups so that it's there. Maybe it was the freemium one. Not sure. Okay. Now here's the thing for the videos, and this is why I just want to talk about for course creators and educators or lecturers, whatever you want to kind of look at from here. Is it if I go back down, package it. Here's your package. Here's your package skill ready for. Oh, to add it to GitHub. Weekly discussion creator. Okay, there it is. One thing, you'll change the default space to skill before publishing and add a README. So we'll do that later, but I could have basically done a couple more back and forth and got it to do it. But I want to do this here, right here, because this is the part that we have to start thinking about, or I'm thinking about, and I hope you are too, when you're actually doing work while you're doing it and capturing it. So here's the other piece that I have that I do, and this is why I create so many YouTube videos, is if I go to the capabilities again and we take a look at them, and I go back down to the skills, you're going to see I have a couple skills that are interesting. One of them is, where's the one? I have one that is, there we go. I created a skill for, firstly, YouTube research. So I give it an idea. It researches YouTube to find out if it's been covered, what were the outliers, that kind of thing. But I also have one called Transcript Analyzer. So if I do a video like this one, what's going to happen is when the transcript becomes available, I'm just going to go and say, run the Transcript Analyzer. And what this one does is it actually goes through and it does exact transcription of it. And it also creates a content brief that is available in JSON and Markdown, which are the two files types that any of these large language model tools get. So this is a skill that just goes and gets the transcript and does a really, really detailed brief about all of the lessons learned, the points, the topics, everything in that particular piece. The other skill that's here, so if you take a look on it, is I also have, where's the one here? The one that I have is tutorial bodybuilder. So I have a brief now, and then I can run the tutorial bodybuilder. And what it does is it will create a tutorial in one of the courses or a standalone tutorial with the video that is on the community. So that's done for me. And because I got a connector, I gave it a tool. I said, hey, do the work. And then here's where you go and place it. It's connected to the community and it's actually published a tutorial. The tutorial is based on the brief and the YouTube video. So I now have a library of tutorials that are either available as a standalone course or part of a course, what you would normally call a course. But I can also go take a look at the tutorials here. And you're going to see I have a library of tutorials that are all built. Let me just do this one. I think this one. I'm going to see if I have one that was actually done. There's the video, and there's the actual tutorial was built. So this was done by the skills. I didn't do any of it. But the only thing that had to start from this is I had to capture a video of products or of services or things that I was doing as part of my work, put it onto YouTube, and ran these skills. And some people say, well, you know, I don't want to do a YouTube video. You can do YouTube videos, but just keep them private. They don't all have to be published. It's a library of transcripts that is there available for you to repurpose. So capture the stuff that you're actually doing. And of course, the cool thing is that when Gemini comes out with this new version, it is multimodal transcription of the YouTube videos. It already does that to some extent now, where it sees what's going on, it listens to the audio, and it has the transcripts. So that's going to be another cool thing that's actually going to happen here moving forward. So that skill, let me just go back to the other one here. So that was a skill that was there. Tutorial body that I have. And then I also have one, of course, I have the social media posts. Remember that one we talked about earlier? It was a social media post. I had the community feed poster. So anytime this is there, that stuff is automatically done for me. And this is stuff that would have taken hours and hours to do, even with ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude, if I was just prompting. And if I wasn't even having that, to do that in a day is absolutely stunning. And I think that's the part that most people who are getting up on this and are slow to the party is that if I can do this, and I'm not a software engineer, I've just been playing around with it just like you, but if I can create tutorials daily, community posts daily, outreach daily, spending time with people instead of always having to be creating content. That is just a process or part of the business. And if you can get it set up so that this is the 3 moats I talked about yesterday's live stream, you have a privately branded campus, a soapbox or a platform to stand on, and you have an open public library of curated content in your campus. That's the first moat. Second moat is that you need to be doing live class slash, not lectures, but mentoring workshops where you're actually working on the application and implementation of the content that is actually being created by other people or the work that is being done by other people. And then finally, treat it as a business. You know, most people think, oh, I'm going to do a course. Courses aren't enough. Content isn't enough. That's not a business anymore. And unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get this one to finish in the time that we have here. So I'll actually do another video and see if this one timed out. The next one we'll do is I'll just run it. I'll say, hey, we've got a brand new skill. Let's run it and see what it comes up with. So again, how long have I been talking here? An hour. I'm going to bring it in for landing. If you like this stuff, like and subscribe to the channel. Give me a thumbs up, share it. And of course, here's my only sales pitch. Go to trainingsites.io/join. Join the community. It's free. Let me know what you're working on. Share your story. Would love to hear it. So thanks, everyone. Take care. Expect the best.